Hey guys, welcome back to Young and Unscripted. This is my first video as part of our Act 2. Last season, Sienna and I did a few dilemma type videos. I wanted to explore that a bit more and dive into your creative dilemmas. Anything you're going through in your career, because I think we're all going through, we're all young and unscripted and figuring it out. So I thought, how about the dilemmas that people have with that? I am no expert, I am still definitely figuring it out. I just thought I'd read the dilemmas and say my opinions. And then I'd also like to hear from you guys and what you think. I definitely try and educate myself and learn from all my experiences, but we're all still learning. Also, each week or anytime, send to our email. It's youngandunscriptedpod@gmail.com. I'll put it on the screen just in case that's not right. But you can email any dilemmas you're having there. It's always going to be kept anonymous. Let's dive into the first dilemma. I'm always so scared this mic isn't working. Hey, Young and Unscripted. I've been offered a role in a short film. No pay, but the director swears it will do festivals and boost my portfolio. Part of me wants the experience, but I'm tired of doing passion projects that lead nowhere. Do I say yes for exposure, or am I just being taken advantage of? Okay, that is an interesting one. And I think that's something that a lot of actors and a lot of people in general, I think in all industries, there's a lot of work that you sometimes have to do for free. And it's like, do I do this free thing because it will benefit me? But also, is it just a thing where nobody wants to pay me and I actually should know my worth and be getting paid? But how I try and navigate this is I will do a free project if it's something that I'm genuinely interested in. So I would say, look at this director, look at the stuff they make. Is it something that you see yourself in, that you just genuinely want to be a part of, that you'd be passionate about? They make the kind of films that maybe you'd want to, similar to what you'd want to star in. Because I think if you look at a director and you're like, oh my gosh, I love their work, I actually really want to work with them. And then I think it benefits you, and it's not really about the money, because that's going to be something great on your portfolio. It will get sent to festivals, and even if it didn't, it's something you can add to your spotlight. And I just think if you really believe in the director and their vision, then it will be a good project. I think if you look into it and you're like, I'm not really bothered about the role, you're like, oh, their vision doesn't really meet yours, and then you're just kind of like, oh, I'm just doing it to do stuff. I don't think you always have to do that, because it can take up a lot of your time. I think that's the main thing in the creative industry. It's doing stuff that aligns with you and where you're headed. We all know that agents look at short films and stuff, and they start to kind of cast you in what type of things what kind of roles you're going to go for. So I think you may as well do projects that you're genuinely interested in playing. But I'm completely open to doing free or small budget short films, student films. I think it's so important to get experience that way. Also, in terms of the taking advantage, I think there are genuine young directors or directors coming up. I always remember an agent telling me this, saying those directors you're going to work with, they're going to be the directors of the future, and we could all work together and make stuff. And also another thing an agent said to me was that they're going to promote their film, right? Because it's their film. They're going to be sending it to every single festival because it's their project. So actually being part of a student film is going to be something that can get you out there because they're passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it too, there's nothing really that can go wrong there. Also, short films tend to shoot in a few days. So it's not going to take a copious amount of your time. But again, if it doesn't meet your vision, don't do it. Just like how you want someone to take a chance on you as an upcoming actor who hasn't got any credits, you can take that chance on an upcoming director who also hasn't had that break yet or doesn't have a crazy budget but wants to create, On to the next. This one's really interesting, and I've actually thought about this myself quite a lot. It said, as a creative, I'm constantly thinking about my story, my growth, my goals, my image. But lately, it's made me feel self-obsessed. Like I'm living life just to document it. Is that narcissism or just part of the creative mindset now? I thought that was really interesting because I think it is a thing. Sometimes I can be I'm so hyper-focused on my career and where I want to be with my life. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, is this a bit self-obsessed and selfish. Like, but I just realized we should never have any guilt for focusing on our own life and our own goals. There's nothing wrong with that. And like, as long as we always still make time for like friends and family, and there's so much more to life than just your career, but there is nothing wrong whilst we're, trying to get to where we want in our career. There's nothing wrong with focusing on that. I assume this person might be potentially a content creator. So like obviously slightly different to what I'm pursuing, but in terms of living life just to document it, it is interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, how do you stay present when you're constantly like on to the next thing? But I think there's nothing wrong with riding the wave and documenting your life and having goals for yourself, as long as you do have that life balance and make time for other people. Personally, I was conditioned to like, thinking about yourself feels so selfish, when I think we are getting to an age in society where putting yourself and your ambitions at the forefront is not a problem, as long as you are considerate of other things in your life and other people. You're not like, oh, ditching everything just so that I can make sure I'm okay. Definitely not. I think having a goal takes a lot of effort, a lot of determination, a lot of energy, and a lot of focus. And you are going to have to focus most of your time on that. I mean, I wake up every day thinking like, okay, what can I do for my career? Like, how am I going to get to where I want to go to? And it's just wanting the best for yourself, which I feel like is the highest form of self-love, really, wanting a great life for yourself and not stopping until you make that. But I would say enjoy the journey, because we can all get wrapped up and you're like, okay, you can't just work towards something and enjoy life then. There's always going to be a new something. So like, enjoy it now and stay present. Enjoy the little things. That's what I try and do. Like, guys, am I talking really fast? I feel like I am. Let's see, on to the next one. I've been auditioning nonstop, but rejection after rejection is draining me. My agent says I just need to keep at it, but mentally I'm struggling. Should I take a break to protect my peace, or push through so I don't fall behind? Acting has a lot of rejection and a lot of setbacks, as do most careers in this day and age, I think. And it can be draining. It can be draining for us all. And like, it's hard on your self-esteem as well. You get used to the rejection, but it can get to a point when you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm getting nowhere. I would say if it's really draining you, you can take time, and there's a way to manage your time where maybe look at everything you're going to do and think, okay, what can I cut back on? Like, what do I really want to be doing and gives me energy and fuels me? And like, what do I also need to do for myself? And what are the things that I'm like, maybe I can take that out of my schedule, so I have that time to rest. But I would say do keep going. If it's really taking a toll on you, I would say obviously there's nothing wrong with taking like a break. We all need breaks, no matter what stage you are in life. We all need like a holiday or like time to rest and just have a break from everything we're doing. But also, it's really hard and it's so cliche, but I think you do have to see past the rejection, because otherwise you would never push past it. Your mind, as Panya talks about a lot in her videos, is literally the most powerful thing. You have to wire it in a way where you are able to get back up from it, because it's a really hard career to pursue. But if you put your all in, you will get somewhere. I believe so anyway. That's what I'm hoping and I'm trying. But I think sometimes when you can feel like everything's really not working, it can feel horrible, but I think if you push past that, that's when you sometimes start to see rewards. That's what I found as well. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting nowhere. And then I take that moment, I'm like, no, but it is going to work and I'm going to keep going. And then sometimes things do happen. You're like, oh, actually, things are starting to work out. But you have to be patient and be in it for the long game and really not take it personally. And just focus on the positives and like what you are doing right. And I just think you really do have to push past the rejection to get the glory. And it's hard. It's it sounds a lot easier than it is in practice. But I think, people always say like people make it just at the point where like, they really think they're going to give up. So you do just have to keep going. I also think that's why it's also important to enjoy other aspects of your life, because sometimes when all of that stuff is draining you, you do need that time to just like go out with your friends and go out with your family, catch up with them. Because then you realize, okay, everything's actually okay. I'm okay. Like being around other people, I'm not in my head and I can do this and I can get back to my work knowing I've had that break. And I don't think you need to worry about falling behind, because you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else's timing. And in terms of when you send that tape off, just literally forget about it. It's hard at first, but I think you get used to it and you're like, okay, it's not in my hands anymore. It's not in my control. I did what I could do. I'm getting actually to be seen by a casting director, which is a privilege in itself. Sienna always says, shout out to you, Sienna, book the room, not the audition. So even getting seen is a positive. How you bounce back from rejection and the down days is probably one of the most important parts, to be honest. Okay, here's another one. It feels like the same few people get all the opportunities, the same events, same collaborations. I feel like an outsider even though I'm talented. How do you break in without being part of those groups? I've got so many things to say here. I would say, first of all, I think you've got to look at those people and not just think, oh my gosh, they get everything. They did have to work to be there, work to be in those groups and be in that position. You know, I know a lot of people who like get a lot of work now, but they worked really hard to get there. And I think that's how you've got to see it. And you're like, okay, I just need to work hard so I get those opportunities. In terms of if you feel like, oh, you know, people always say in this industry, it's like, who you know? I think you got to just think, I can only bring myself and my authenticity. I can't mimic the people in those groups, or you feel like the people that are getting the opportunities, because that won't work for me. All I can bring is myself. Also, if you see those groups and you see those events and there's an open event, you go to the event, you talk to people. There's nothing wrong with like networking and getting to know people. And like, I think if you see, okay, that's how the industry works, rather than feeling like, oh, like it's against me, because we aren't victims to life, you know, which is something that I like learned as well. Sometimes you just feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why? Like, oh, it's so easy for people. My life is hard. I've got to work this job because I got it. Like, you've just got to think, I'm not a victim to life. So actually, anything that looks like an obstacle, I can get over, and there is a way around it. So if I feel like everyone knows each other and I'm on the outside, you can go to events, you can get involved, you can network, you can get to know people. And slowly within the creative industry, I think you'll find it's quite welcoming. Most people are quite welcoming and want to get to know new creatives and stuff. And like once you talk to people and get to know them, you realize, oh my gosh, it's not this like clique or anything. Like even though it may feel like that from the outside. And then you know you can work with people, and like connections are a big thing in this industry and they can get you a lot of work. But I think if that comes from a genuine place, just like genuinely getting to know people and like not being alone on this journey that you're on, then great things can happen. Just keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to be in any certain situation to be successful. I think we've seen so much of it. I think we can be like, oh my gosh, nowadays it's so hard to get jobs, it's so hard. But what I've seen to be really effective is that people are creating their own work, as we are able to put ourselves out there. Just put it onto the internet and you don't know who's going to see it. You know, you can literally do it alone from your room and you don't know where it's going to lead. You've got your own style, put it out there. You don't have to be in those certain groups. But again, there's nothing wrong with like talking to people and making connections, because it's really not that scary. Most people are quite friendly once you get to know them. I think anyway. Well, hopefully. That's it for this week's episode of Young and Unscripted. Thanks, guys.